Good morning, Britannia, and hello to the rest of the world. Welcome to Tousi TV and this morning's brief with the latest news headlines from around the world. Let's start by talking about Greta Thunberg. Yes, the eco-militant extremist turned anti-Semitic weirdo has once again been arrested at another anti-Israel protest. We're going to talk about the details with Greta and, of course, her tea towel or kefir. We're also going to be talking about the migrant crisis in the United Kingdom. The French government have decided to blame the UK for the crisis of small boats coming from France. And of course, in the United States, we have new updates on what happened to Donald J. Trump with the assassination attempt, as we've now discovered that apparently the Secret Service agents were not actually part of Secret Service. We're going to talk about that as well. And finally, the Tory leadership election is not going too well for the whole party in general, but Kemi Badenoch has been exposed as a bit of a hypocrite. We're going to talk about her campaign and what she said about the winter fuel allowance or payments. Let's start by talking about Greta. Oh dear. So, Greta Thunberg has once again been arrested at another anti-Israel protest. This one, it was in Denmark, in Copenhagen. It seems like Greta Thunberg is doing some sort of game on her map because she simply wants to be arrested in every single country that she can find in Europe. Not in China, not in dictatorships, just in Europe. What they did was they blocked the entrance to a university to a protest that the Danish uni was not breaking its ties and relationship with another university in Israel. They said, "Oh, you guys cooperate with an Israeli university, that's very evil." Ironically, the ties between the two universities in Denmark and in Israel was actually about developing new green technology. It was simply to come up with new technological advances to help the environment. Greta Thunberg did a whoopsie. Now, staying in Europe technically, France have decided to blame the UK, and they might have a point in this situation to an extent, because they're blaming the UK benefit system and also the loose job market regulations for the UK being a magnet. So there are a number of points to be made. Now, obviously, the French have a responsibility to go with the agreement that they made with the UK. We gave them a lot of money, UK taxpayers, but they're not doing a proper job. But they also have a good point. Not only you can come here, it is a magnet, this country, because you can just get a job without proper paperwork, unlike other countries in Europe. But also the approval rating of so-called asylum seekers is much higher in the UK than in France or other countries in Europe. This follows the 12 people who died in the English Channel, but more channel crossings continue regardless of the risk to people's lives. Now, the mayor, Covillier, has come out to say these people flee death and end up dying here. Mothers, children, convinced that they will find a better life across the channel. Just to clarify, is this a French mayor saying they are fleeing death, as in France, that they will find a better life across the channel in Britain? So on the one hand, the mayor is admitting that the UK is better than France, and secondly claiming that France is a war zone or something. That is a weird one. Now, Donald Trump's assassination attempt has, of course, escalated a lot of investigations and internally and externally. We've now discovered that the Homeland Security agents were used to be pretending to act as Secret Service agents, which is a bit of a scandal. Not only that, we've discovered that they were not even properly trained. They were not Secret Service, they were simply Homeland Security agents. They used webinar trainings. Senator Josh Hawley says, "What I've heard tonight is that most of the agents who were there at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, were not Secret Service agents. They were in fact Homeland Security agents. Most of those Homeland Security agents, the only training that they receive was an online webinar, a 2-hour online webinar. I'm told that about half the time, the sound to the webinar didn't even work. So they just had to wing it." Are you surprised what happened to Trump? Happened the way it did? I'm not. Finally, the Tory leadership election, ladies and gentlemen, that nobody actually cares about so far. Kemi Badenoch, who is currently the leading candidate from the establishment side, of course, they're backed up by Tory central office and a lot of the more establishment people like Michael Gove and all the others. So Kemi is anti-woke relatively, but the rest of her policies and views are very much Tory establishment. She did come out to hit back at the Labour government, saying that reducing the winter fuel payments to the elderly and pensioners is evil. We should never do it. Nobody should ever even think about saying it. Then we discovered that she herself wants the same thing. The idea is that only those on receiving pensions credits will be receiving the winter fuel payments. Now, the whole policy is very, very messed up anyway from the Labour government, and they are losing a lot of support across the country. But in 2022, Kemi Badenoch, when she ran for Tory leadership last time, she said, "There is a lot of dead weight in how we run the government. I have people in my constituency telling me that they don't need the winter fuel payments that we give them because they can afford it." Fair. Why do we not have a more sophisticated mechanism for means testing? So the Labour government, I'm not defending the Labour government, just devil's advocate. Well, they've come out to say, well, okay, we're going to do a means testing. If you are not on pensions credit, obviously as a recipient, then you won't get it because you can afford it. Now, that is not correct. Means testing systems on paper sounds nice, but it doesn't always work because you have to get bureaucracy involved. There are a lot of people who are not necessarily receiving pensions credit, but they can't afford it. So what are you going to do about the long-term solution, as a solution long-term? Because again, not many of these politicians are addressing it. Ladies and gentlemen, this was your morning brief on Tousi TV with the latest news headlines and top stories that you might have missed over the last few hours. This show comes to you guys every day at 11 a.m. UK time. And of course, we have the evening debrief, Tousi at 10, comes to you guys at 10 p.m. UK time every day. And throughout the day, we will continue our breaking news live streams as usual. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.